Hey gold diggers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm throwing another story time at you. You guys went crazy over the last story time I did in a previous video about my interaction with a client named Big Fat Daddy when I was working as a prostitute. But I have a lot more stories to tell you, and everyone in the comments was like, please do more story times, we need to hear more. So welcome to my life and welcome to my trauma. I'm thinking about making a little series out of this. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm gonna tell you about the first time I ever danced in a strip club, and there's a lot to unpack. But before we get into all of that, I do have a quick little disclaimer. I do want to keep this video light and fun, but also if there's young people watching this thinking about getting into sex work, I just want to tell you sex work is really, really hard. But if you are a sex worker, you deserve to have boundaries, and for those boundaries to be respected. But more times than not, that's not the case, and you will be pressured to do things that you don't want to do. So don't look at this video or my past video of like an example. This is literally everything you should not do when you first start working at a strip club, so I made my mistakes so you don't have to. Also, if you want to see my last story time about Big Fat Daddy, which why wouldn't you? I'm gonna link it right above right here. It's also gonna be at the end of this video. But let's get into today's story time. This story is gonna transport us back many years ago. Probably... Oh my god, that's so scary. 7 years ago. This story transports us back 7 years ago when I was a senior in high school. I was a really bad kid when I was 18, and I would go out to clubs on the weekend. I was drinking a lot and just partying a lot and just being reckless. So I didn't have like any plans for like college or anything like that. I was pretty much just banking on becoming a stripper after high school. At the time I was working at Old Navy. I hated it. I was like, I'm just gonna be a stripper like after school, so I wasn't looking into colleges or anything like that. So every weekend I would drive to Rhode Island, and at the time I was living in Boston. So it's like a 45-minute drive, and I'd go over on the weekends, and there was this gay club, and it was like the best fucking gay club ever. Friday and Saturday. It was so much fucking fun. So it's a Friday, and I'm hanging out with this gaggle of gays I met, and I'm thinking they're really, really cool and also kind of hot. So as we're talking, like one of them keeps bragging about how he makes so much money being a stripper and having sugar daddies. And like to me, I was like, that's so cool. Yeah, so he's just like, yeah, like I make hundreds of dollars a night. Hundreds at the time. I was like, whoa. And let's call this friend Tim. So Tim's telling me about how he makes like all this money being, you know, like a dancer. And I was like, no way, could you get me a job being a dancer? Like, I totally want to be a stripper. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll hook you up. And he told me to come with him that Sunday to go audition at the club that he worked at. And I was like, I'm so fucking down. Can I stay at your house till Sunday? And yeah, we just like had a great night. And then I remember on Saturday waking up and being really, really excited about Sunday. I was like, I'm gonna make like hundreds of dollars, it's gonna be amazing. And also I was kind of like experimenting as like an exhibitionist at that time. Like I was sexting all the time. Like I was definitely like very sexual. So it was just like fun. Like I was like thinking I was gonna explore myself, and also like I went to this nightclub all the time, so I was familiar with it. It's not like I was going to like this creepy place that like was new to me. Like I had been here before. Well, in fact, I went there every Friday and Saturday, so I was like comfortable with it, you know? But basically on Saturday during the daytime, he was like, yeah, like let's go pick out some underwear. So we went to the store. It's like this like little gay store, and they had like all these like different types of like slutty gay men's underwear. And I remember getting so many in that dressing room just because like I had never worn something so skimpy, and then like the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna wear this in front of people and like dance for them, like it was all very exciting. Sunday rolls around and we go into the club earlier than normal. It's so weird being inside of the club when there's nobody else. Hello? We're like one of the first ones to arrive, and the dancer, Tim, who I was staying with, he told me kind of how things worked a little bit. He said, so on Sunday, it's not run by the same people. On Sunday, there's a different manager, and let's call him Phil. So Phil's the manager, and he's gonna want to talk to you since you're new. And all the other guys were like, have you talked to Phil yet? I got like kind of the sense that I'm like, ooh, maybe Bill's like not the funnest person to work with here. As I'm like interacting with the dancers, I'm like, this is great, like this is awesome. They're all around my age, they're all super young, they're all like 18, 19. And they're practicing on the pole and they're teaching me how to do some tricks, and it was just really, really fun. I remember enjoying that. When the club was empty, there wasn't any of the like neon lights on. It was literally just like the regular fluorescent lights. It was just so cool to be in my favorite club during the daytime, now as an employee. Like, I was very excited. So I just figured this was gonna be so much fun. I'm just gonna dance, get tips, and party. It'll be like any other club night, but I'm just getting paid to be there and I get to wear sexy underwear, right? No. And then Phil walks in. Phil, I think he was from Attleboro. And if you're from Massachusetts, you know that everyone from fucking Attleboro sounds like they're on an oxygen tank about to die. They all sound exactly the same. They all smoke cigarettes. Like they all sound like this. They all sound like they're like on a fast track to getting a trach hole. And that was Phil. So the first time I see Phil, like all that comes to mind is he looks like everybody's alcoholic uncle, you know, like that creepy alcoholic uncle that might be a diddler in the family. Like that's what he looked like. And he dressed like, he was in like sweatpants, I think, with like a cigarette hole in it. I mean, he's from Attleboro. And just a really smelly, gross dude. Hey kid, you're the new one. Why don't you follow me? So I'm following Bill, and he's explaining the whole club to me. Well, look here, sweetheart. So this is the stage. This is where you'll be dancing, and people might want to give you tips. And if somebody gives you a tip, that means they really like you. And if somebody really likes you, you gotta go up to them after your stage show and ask them if they want a private dance. Which, in retrospect, solid advice. So I'm following Bill, and he says, now let me show you where the private dance is. So if you can get somebody down here to dance. So I'm following him to what normally is the Cloak Closet on Friday, Saturday, when I'm used to going to the club. And he brings me to the Cloak Closet. We walk inside, and there's just one rusted metal chair in the middle of this closet. And this closet's like pretty long, but very narrow. And it was horrific. That was like the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Sometimes when I blink, I still see it. Sometimes I'll be right on the verge of falling asleep in that long hallway with the chair right in the center pops up on my brain and it's like, it's fine. I didn't need to sleep at all. Anyways, we walk into the private room and I notice there's lights and they're attached all at the top and they're like flashing different colors. And Phil explains to me,
now as a kid, if all these lights turn blue, it means the cops are outside. You gotta run out the back, hop the fence, and run.
I'm like, okay. And then Phil explains to me,
now this is the private room. If anybody asks you to come back here, you tell them it's 160. This is where you'll be
and I was like, oh no, like, it's cool. Like, I don't really want to be like a full-on, like, I think I'll just do like the stage show thing. I wasn't really looking to come back here, you know? And Phil says,
you might as well leave then.
I was just kind of like trying to save face in that moment. I was like, yeah, sure, like, I'll sell privates later. And he said,
wait here.
And then left and shut the door and left me in this like dark room with like the lights flashing, just like, what the fuck is about to go down? So Phil comes back and he's brought another dancer. They both come in and he shuts the door. And he says,
here's your audition, kid. Show me how you...
let's say I just aced my audition. No, but seriously guys, that part wasn't really cool. So afterwards he says,
good job, champ. Now go sell some privates.
And mind you, he takes 50% of all the privates. You know, after that little experience, I got out of that private room as fast as I could and made a beeline for the dressing room. And in the dressing room, the DJ was there. And he was asking everyone to write down their names so he could like call them up on stage when it was their time to dance. And I was looking forward to this part so much because ever since I had this idea of becoming a little I wanted to be named Sebastian Valentino. And I wrote down Sebastian Valentino. And when Phil came in and took the list,
he said, who's Sebastian?
That's mine. I picked Sebastian. He said,
that name's way too fucking long. You're Chad.
I don't think I even used that name when I was talking to customers, just because I was so young and naive. I'd be like, hi, I'm Chad. And they're like, do you have a real name? Like, what's your real name? Is that your stripper name? And I would tell every single one of them my like full real name. Like, before I actually got comfortable like talking to the customers, I was just like hanging out with the boys for the most part, like all the other strippers, like waiting for the customers to come up to me. And Bill pulled me aside and he said,
listen, you're not here to socialize, and you're not like these other boys. You're very special, and you're gonna make a lot of money here, kid. I really believe in you. You need to just go up to customers and start talking to them.
So that actually, in a weird way, because of really motivated me, and I really wanted to impress Bill, and I wanted to be the best. So I walk up to my first customer and say, hi, I'm Chad, I'm new here. And he immediately says, how much is it to get you in that private room? 160. Well, the other boys, they do it for $50. What makes you so special? I'm new here, and you'll be my first private dance, so don't you want to be my first? Well, what are you willing to do back there? I'm not going back till I know what you're gonna do back there. And I said, anything. Oh, no. He agreed to that. 160 for anything. I start leading him to the private room, the fucking Cloak Closet, and the whole time I'm like, oh fuck, no. And we get into the Cloak Closet. He sits in that horrific metal chair, all the way down, because like I said, it's long. So I'm as far away as possible from him, like dancing on the other side. Come over here, it's so far away, not even touching me. So I'm like, no, fuck. So I'm like dancing like closer, like as slow as possible, like fuck. Like just dance on my lap. So I've never given a lap dance before. So I'm like literally like being such a spaz, like I'm like throwing my ass back and like going so crazy, like putting my knee like over his neck, like nuts. And because I've never done this before, I was just trying to do my best. Like I thought being like so extra was like the best. I'm like going all over the place.
She got bitches, bing, 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 bing. He got bitches, he got bitches, he got.
He's like, stop dancing, just sit on my lap. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I sit on his lap, put my arms above your head. So I put my arms above my head, and and I had like white deodorant, and I could see the white like all over his tongue, and there was armpit hairs sticking out of his teeth. Care. He like loved it. And he kept like licking my armpit, and like the deodorant didn't bother him. It did not deter him. But I didn't have to suck any. So that was the positive of that private. So I was like, oh, I didn't have to suck any. He only ate like deodorant out of my armpit, and I get $160 at the time. I was like, that's totally worth it. I felt like a king. That night, I think I had like one more private, but it really wasn't memorable. I think he just got dances. So then like I go back to my friend Tim's house, and we're counting the money, and we're smoking cigarettes, and you know, after I had given Bill his 50% of everything, I counted my money and I made like $280, and I was like, I'm gonna be a f***ing millionaire. And I went back every single Sunday. I worked there for a long time. I ended up making more money down the line though, just because I got smarter. And but yeah, so that was my first experience at a strip club. If you're a stripper, please don't like be mad at me for saying that story. I realize we all have different experiences, but that just happened to be mine. So yeah, I hope that wasn't yours, and I hope you enjoyed another story time.